Alright, let's take a look at this features of functions test review. Now, once again, as I say it with all my reviews, I'm going over here every problem, which means you should be trying these out on your own. Okay? Do the review first as if it were the test, then come watch this, check your answers, make sure you know what you're doing, get yourself ready. Alright, so the first one's kind of the same stuff we've been doing in table, in graph form, finding all these pieces of information. So, increasing. Well, pretty obvious it's increasing right here. So look at the x values, from -3 to -1. Right? If I wrote this point, it'd be -3, -7, and this point would be -1, 7. But we're looking at the x values, because it's an interval, so -3 to -1. Okay? So, where is it decreasing? Well, from that -1 over to 5. Okay? Combine those together, that pretty much gives us our domain. We start at -3, that's where our graph starts, going to +5. Okay, now for the range, we start down at -7, we go up to the tippity top of +7. So -7 to +7. Okay, that's how we're looking at the domain and the range. Okay, and increasing and decreasing. So those ones are our intervals, right? Our intervals, it's like that football field idea. We're using the yard lines. For increasing, we use the x yard lines. Decreasing, x yard lines. Domain, x yard lines. Range is the only one that uses the y yard line. Okay? Because you're just shifting it around for the range. In intervals, you take the lowest x and then the highest x. Okay, notice I'm always going lowest to highest. You can't flip it around or else it'll mess it up. Alright. Maximum and minimum. Well, max is the highest point. There's our max. What is that point? -1, 7. Okay, minimum. Where's our lowest point? Right there. What's its point? -3 and -7. Okay, remembering these ones are the points, the x and y values. Okay, x-intercept, where's it across the x-axis? Right there, at that point. That point is -2 and 0. Its y value is 0. What about the y-intercept? Y-intercept right up there. Okay, its x value is 0 and its y value +6. So there are the points. There's the intervals for all 8 of those. Okay. Now number 2, same concept. X and y intercept. It's still the points. X intercept is when y is 0. Y is 0 is right here. Its point is 3, 0. Wrong one. 3, 0. Y intercept. Okay. Its x is 0. What's the point? 0, 5. Okay, notice the same setup. 0, 0. 0, 0. Okay? Now, minimum and maximum. Minimum, look at our y's. What's our lowest point? Right there. So it's this point, 8, -2. You don't just write -2. Maximum, what's the biggest number on the y? It's 10. So our point is -3, 10. Okay, those are our points. Now we're dealing with the intervals. The range is the only one that deals with the y. So we look for the smallest to the biggest number. Smallest number is -2, biggest is 10. -2 to 10. Now the rest deal with the x. Even though increasing and decreasing, we tell if it's increasing or decreasing based off the y values, okay, we still use the x's as our intervals. Okay, domain's easiest. Smallest number is -3. Highest number is 9. Okay. Alright, so we're looking at the increasing and decreasing, so just match them. Okay, for increasing, or decreasing, whichever is first. 10 to 5, decreasing. 5 to 3, decreasing. 3 to 0, decreasing. 0 to negative 2, decreasing. So then we use those x values to draw our interval. So from negative 3 to 8, that's the interval of this decreasing. Alright? Then, for increasing, negative 2 to 4, 4 to 5, we're increasing. So from that 8 to the 9, that's where we're increasing. Alright? Alrighty, so next one we're just determining whether something is a function or not. Remember, for tables, what we're looking for is if we have more than one x value that's the same, okay, you have to pay attention to that y or that f of x value. Okay, if I have the same x, but they give me different y's, then it's not a function. If I don't have any same x's, it's definitely a function. So this first one, okay, I have different numbers for x's, it's a function. B, 2 zeros, same number, different 2 ones, same number, okay, or different number, that means it's not a function. It only takes one of those, so not a function. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, different x's, they can have the same y values, that's fine. That's still a function, it's still 1 to 1. I know that 4 always gives me 5, 3 always gives me 5, so function. Okay, I have a 0 and a 0, different y values, not a function. That's with tables. Now with points, it's the same idea. Look at the x values. If I have two of the same x values with different y values, that's bad. So negative 10 and 1, negative 10 and 2, right off the bat, that's bad. I know it's not 1. B, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's good. Different x's. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. That's good, different x's. 1, 5, 3, 3, 2 3's, different y's, that's bad, not a function. Okay, number 5, doing the Venn diagrams. Okay, so what we're looking here is, on the left side, that each one of these only goes to one other one. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So, A, I've got a negative 1. It could go to 3 or 5. Definitely not a function. B, 6 goes to 7. 3 goes to 2. 2 always goes to 7. Function. C, they're all only going to 8, but they're all just going to one number. Function. Okay. D, 5 goes to 6. Good. Negative 3 to 7. Good. 3 to 0 or negative 7. Bad. Not a function. Alright. Now for the graphs. This is where we do that vertical line test. Okay. So let me see if I can get something to make this work better. Alright. So I've got a line here. This will kind of work. So we're doing A and B at the same time. So run it across. Is it touching more than once? Yeah. Okay. So A isn't a function. B isn't a function either. See how they're touching twice. Whereas look at D. Run it across. It's only touching once. Look at C. Run it across. It's only touching once. Okay. That's what makes them a function or not with graphs. So function, function, not, not. That's the vertical line test. Okay, now on this part, we're dealing with the function notation ideas with graphs, okay? So, f of x is this line, g of x is this line. So, f of 0, so the input is 0, so go to my x value of 0, go up to my graph, it's at 6, so it's equal to our output of 6. An input of 0 in the graph f of x gives me an output of 6. For 8, g of 3, an input of 3 gives me an output of 2. Okay, in the graph G. Now 9 and 10, we're working backwards. On 9, this time they're giving us the output of 1. So we go to output of 1, go over to our graph, our input is 2. Okay, because it's finding what the input is. For the f of x, it says our output is 7, so go up to 7, go to our graph. Our input is negative 2. Okay, now 11, where are they the same? Where is f of x equal to g of x? Where do they intersect, essentially? At that point right there, which is 4, 4. The point 4, 4, that's where they're the same. When f of 4 is equal to g of 4, because they're both equal to 4. That's where it's the same. But that point is the answer that it was looking for. Okay, so there we go with those ones. Alright, now 12 and 13 are dealing with finding independent and dependent variables, whether it's a function or not. Okay, so look at 12. The amount of money you spend according to the different articles of clothing you buy. Okay, so what affects what? Well, the amount you buy and what type you buy is going to affect how much money you spend, right? So independent variable, dependent variable. Now, let's determine if this is a function or not. So think of it this way. If I buy a shirt, and this shirt, well, that's a crazy shirt you just bought, is worth $17, okay, and I bought a pair of socks that were worth $3, we spent $20, right? Well, is there any other way that I can spend that same amount or spend a different amount with the same thing? Well, what if I bought a shirt that was actually worth $18 and socks that were worth $5? Okay, that right there gives me different output. So just saying, buying a shirt and buying a sock isn't going to necessarily, it's going to give me a different amount. Okay. Now, 13, the amount of money you spend according to the number of shirts you buy in one store. Okay. So now we're talking about one store, just shirts. So now, once again, this is our independent and dependent. But if we think about this one, now it's getting to the point where it's the same thing each time. So if I buy, 2 shirts, and they're the same type of shirts, each time I buy them, you're always getting the same amount. Okay. And maybe to better explain on this one, one store may do the shirt for $17 and socks for $3. Well, then you go to a thrift store and you can buy that same shirt and same socks for a different amount of money. That's probably a better way of thinking about it. So that's kind of what you're thinking through. And those are horrible shirts. You should stop buying those kind of shirts. They are very ugly. Extremely ugly. Exugly. That's how ugly they are. Extremely ugly. Alright, last couple of problems. Use the graphs or tables to combine the functions. Show your work. So now we're using the inputs to get the outputs and then combining them. Okay, combining these functions. So f of negative 2, g of negative 2. So negative 2, g is going to be 1. F is going to be 3. So 3 plus 1 equals 4. If I combine this with this, it'll bring us up to 4. That's kind of what we're thinking. Now, 15. F of 4 and g of negative 3. Okay, so f of 4 is right here. So that's 0. G of negative 3, right here, that's 2. And we're subtracting. So now I'm saying this y value minus this y value is going to give us this y value. It's negative 2. Okay, now g of negative 4 divided by f of 0. Well, here's 0, so f of 0 is 2. G of negative 4 right here goes up, that's 4. So what's 4 divided by 2? It's 2. If I take this divided by this, we end up with that same thing. Okay, last one. F of 2 times g of negative 5. So f of 2, here's 2, up to 1. So that's 1. Times g of negative 5. Negative 5 is right here, go up. It's at 8. 1 times 8 is going to give us 8. So just combining those functions and doing it that way. Alright, so there's the review. Hopefully you took the time to do it beforehand. Get some help, see what you're doing, see how things are going, see what score you got on this, and you'll be ready for the test. Good luck. And study hard.